Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into the Dahlia Society. I'm Kristen and today we're talking about a chalk and notch pattern called the Fringe Dress. So let's talk about the chalk and notch fringe top or dress. There's two variations. This one I've got on is the top with a little scoop neck. It's got a lovely shaped neckline that I thought would be a little bit more complicated to make, but it actually was quite simple. Calls for some good quality interfacing, and that way you'll get that nice structured, not too stiff, but like a stabilized kind of neckline. The other pattern, the other variation in it is the button front, which I've made in a dress here. The curve of the front of the bust sits absolutely beautiful, and that's why I think with this sort of pattern, when you see a well-drafted pattern, you can tell the difference. I just made it straight from the size 14 on the packet, on the pattern, and it was brilliant. I didn't need to change any of that at all. So the great thing I love about the chalk and notch fringe dress or top is that it comes in size 0 to 24. So that's a fantastic size range. And also the bust size, you can either do A to B bust or C to D bust. So that stops people having to worry about doing a full bust adjustment and that type of thing. It's already all kind of done for you. So it was a really quite a good make. It wasn't too difficult. It was sort of more of an intermediate make, I would say. A beginner, I think, could quite easily get their teeth into this because it's not too advanced. But it's got enough little details to sort of bump you up to that next level of sewing. Chalk and Notch have brilliant instructions on all their patterns, and their website is fantastic. I'll just put a little link up to the pattern and show you the line drawings as well, variation A and B. And also the website I was saying has some fantastic inspiration with their testers. They really go through the pattern, the ins and outs of the patterns with their testers, and the testers will then show you all of their makes on there as well, so you can get quite good inspiration. Also, they have a Facebook page which is just chalk and notch patterns, and people quite often share their makes on there as well. So you can get some really good ideas as to what fabrics can make or break the garment, and also the fabric in this pattern can really change the whole look of the garment. This one I'm wearing here, I absolutely love this fabric. I don't know if you can see on here on the camera. I'll just show you. It is an art gallery rayon. Very hard to find in Australia art gallery fabrics, so you may need to look online. I think this one was from Beaverloosh Designs website. It's called an art gallery indie folk meadow in a dim color. It's like a sort of almost a navy to black, and it has beautiful golds, corals, reds, and the olive green, and almost like a metallic-y effect to the green when you look at it in the sunlight. I'll pop some video footage of me with this one on as well. I love wearing this just over some jeans or some 3/4 lander pants. And I feel like when I have this on, I'm dressed up enough to sort of go anywhere without being dressed up. So it's sort of like a tunic-y style shirt or blouse that you might want to wear just to dress something up without all the fuss of the collar and buttons. If you wanted to do the top in the button front, it's the other variation as well. And I've popped some little wooden buttons on this one. This one's also in a rayon. And both of this fabric's from Spotlight. And the other one I've made is in a slub fabric, which is almost like a cotton slub. It feels like a linen, but it's not. It has the same weight and drape as a linen. I'll also put some pictures of me over the weekend. I love this. The colour's called Tomato. It's like almost like a ruby red. And the structure of the garment in the linen/cotton fabric really changes the fit or the feel of it. It still has a little bit of drape, and you'll see from the gathering at the front, still has that little bit of drapey effect, but it's more of a structured looking top. And I'd also love to make a dress in this one as well. I'm leaning towards this neckline, although I love the button front. I just love how this is a really unusual look. I've never seen this on many patterns, this neckline, so I'm really happy with that. Yeah, be careful when you're interfacing, when you're making the garment, the interfacing part of it, don't skip it, because you really do need, I use the fusible with the iron-on interfacing, not too thick. You want to have it light, but just enough to hold the neckline a nice shape. And don't forget to also clip your curves before you turn it the right way around with the placket. If you clip the curves on the inside all properly, you'll get that really nice, smooth, rounded shape. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this design. Also, the sleeve, you'll see there's two different options for the sleeve. One is just the normal capped sort of extended, almost like a kimono sleeve. The other is with a tab and button. You can put that like a gathered effect as well. And that looks really smart. I've seen quite a few people do that option. Getting back to the fabric allowance with this too, I think the top called for about 1.5 meters in the 150 width fabric. In the rayon, that was already, I think it was 138 wide. So I got it out of 1.5 meters, which is really good, especially if you want to use a little bit more of an expensive fabric. If you're wanting to do the dress, I think it's 2.3 meters. And it's sort of just below the knee. You could actually quite easily, I think people have hacked it into a maxi style as well. Another thing too that I didn't bother doing, but a lot of people have, is putting the waist tie back. If you want to bring it right in for a fitted effect and tie it at the back, you can do that. If it's got enough shaping, you can kind of get away without having to put the waist ties on. But that's a personal thing. You can decide whether to do that yourself or not. Another little hint or tip that you might want to try yourself when you're gathering, particularly when you're gathering a top that hasn't got a lot of gathering on the edges, just at the front and back. And with this pattern, when you cut your notches to have your bottom ruffle bit done, you want to make sure that the notches meet up on the top and bottom layer. So that what I do is I zigzag dental floss, believe it or not, dental floss, get a nice long strip of that, zigzag over it. And you'll find that it really makes gathering so much easier than doing your double line of stitching at a wide length and then pulling it, because sometimes it's really hard to get that nice even gather without having too much bulk in one area or the other. So try the dental floss. I swear it works. It's worth a try. Definitely try the fringe dress. I love both the dress and the top. I'll pop some photos of and some video of me modeling the dress. I call it art teacher chic. I think that's the name. I've seen a hashtag before. It's got the pockets, it's got the floaty, the art teacher smock style design, which is very popular at the moment, but it's got the fitted bust or under bust area, not too fitted, but just enough to give you that shape and bring it in a little bit at the waist. I think that is a much more flattering fit than having too much bulk just from the bust and hanging out, because it is nice to see a little bit of a shaping there. And it, as I say, it sews up beautifully. You can put the pockets into both the top and the dress. It's personal. It's up to you. I put the pockets in the dress, but I didn't bother with the top. The hemline on it is a beautiful curve front, longer at the front and back than the sides. It comes up just a tiny bit. You'll see that in the pictures as well. So yes, as I said before, this fabric was from Babylouche Designs. If you're looking for more art gallery fabrics, either in rayon or in quilting cotton or jersey, there's also Wattle Tree Hill. That's another Australian online fabric shop. I quite often get my art gallery fabrics from there as well. So there's a couple of really good little independent stores that I've had great results with, and they've got beautiful, friendly service. So I'll put links to those two shops. Chalk and Notch Patterns, have a look at their website. They've got a brand new pattern released this week called the Crew Pant and Short. And it's exactly what as I say, I'm big on pants lately. I love my pants. And it's got a paper bag waist and tie and the pleating. So very similar to what I would have worn back in the 80s, maybe without being quite as high-waisted or as baggy, but with that nice soft front, like with the pleats, it's quite flattering, and you can make that in a beautiful linen or rayon fabric for spring, summer. Even for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere for autumn, like soft pants are a really practical thing to wear. So look at their Crew short and pant pattern. So last week you might remember my getting into the pant making and my Lander pant success. Well, I've made another couple of pairs this week, the Lander pants. I've had some really good success with those. I thought I'd venture into a lighter weight denim. I made a tencel denim from Spotlight. I got the fabric and I made them in a culotte 3/4 style with the button front. And this time I ventured into the jean making hardware. I was always a bit scared of this, but there's nothing to be afraid of. The jean buttons that you hammer on, which were really easy to make. I've got the fit spot on perfect. I decided to size down to a size 14. You might remember I made the 18s and they were huge, but I decided the 14 will be the way to go, but I still decided to keep the waist at the 16. Be careful too, when you're doing that kind of grading in and out, I always make the waist, the waistline a little bit bigger when I cut it out, especially with the interfacing, because interfacing, when you fuse it on, can sort of shrink the waistband in a little bit. And then you might get stuck as to try and have it all leveled up with the actual pants itself. So I make them a little bit bigger and then I cut them down at the very end when I'm trying it on, and then I decide to sew it all on the right spot. So yeah, I did the 16 waist, 14 pant. Then I was so happy with those. I thought I'll make a pair in a cord, like a pin cord, a stretch pin cord. So I was very careful. Again, I didn't make them too big because given that little bit of stretch, they can be quite roomy to wear. I had a real nightmare. Made it all up, got at the front, had a little look, and I'd actually sewn the corduroy. Don't forget, corduroy and velvet have a nap, and silly me forgot about the nap because inside color all look the same. So the nap in the garment, the fabric, is the way the pile either pushes up or down, and it can change the whole look of the color. It doesn't look any different when it's lying flat, but when you hang it up or look at it from the side or hang it upright, it looked like two completely different colors. So being stingy and trying to save on fabric, because I don't like to waste fabric, I'd squeezed as much pattern pieces as I could into my fabric, and I forgot that the way I'd run the fabric pattern pieces was opposite to each other. So I had to pick them all apart, and luckily I had just enough fabric to make another set of back legs up and pockets, sew them all up, and I was really happy at the end. It was well worth saving them. But don't forget the nap of the fabric with anything plush, velvet, corduroy. You must cut them all in the same direction. So silly me. If you're looking for a really good sew along with the Lander pants, a lovely friend of mine on YouTube is called Colleen. She's from Sewing Sessions. She has a fantastic Lander tutorial from start to finish, and she puts the zip expansion in, and I did the zip with my corduroy pair. Was really happy with that. So if you don't like the button front, the zip front is the way to go. So Colleen takes you through from start to finish, and it is so soothing and relaxing just to watch, even if you're not making the pants and you decide to watch the tutorial. She's got a lovely presence on camera, and I really enjoyed her taking me from start to finish with that. So look her up. I'll put a link to her YouTube channel in there, and that's called Sewing Sessions with Colleen. So if you're into the Landers, that's where you should follow along. And I'm all about the visual. I love seeing the end result and the pictures to give me a bit of inspiration. So hopefully I've inspired you this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you've heard today, don't forget to click and subscribe. I'm Queen of Dahlias on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.